over the years. Hello, I'm Eric Heaney, and I was a program director here for 6 years, from 2000 through 2005.
Hi, I'm Soren Shaw. I was a camper out here starting in 1978, maybe. And I worked out here for 6 summers, and I'm now on the board. So welcome.
All right, I just have a few words before we get started to Dan. Dan, this is ridiculous. I really don't think that you should be retiring. So for a little context for all of you, I was program director and retreat host for 2 years here. So I would be working all week, and then I was trying to keep up with Dwayne and Dan. I don't recommend that for anyone. And I hit a point where we had a group here that was requiring some dietary, somebody was no wheat, no milk, no, and I was like, well, but how do we feed them? They can't have anything. And this was after working a full week, so I called Dan, who was happened to be in the van with Dwayne riding to Nair. If any of you know Nair, that's where a lot of this came from. And so I called Dan, and I just said, this is ridiculous. I can't do this anymore. Dan paused, held the phone, said something to Dwayne, and they got back on, and I would explain what was going on. But Dan served as that intermediary between me and Dwayne to translate, to help me so that I didn't have to be the retreat host and program director for 4 more years. So I just want to say thank you to Dan, who always found a way to help me get through those difficult situations.
Okay.
Well, Dan, if you're going to hug me after every story, this is going to be a long afternoon. Sorry.
Thank you. So you may have noticed with Eric's kickoff there that story was not making fun of Dan so much as himself. And I think that's going to be a theme here. A couple of months ago now, Linda Scheid asked if I'd be interested in being one of the MCs, and if I'd be interested in roasting Dan as well as hosting it, lighthearted. And I thought, sure, that sounds great. And then I thought about what it really means to roast Dan Ensrude. It's not an easy job. I was talking to a friend of mine who's a very good public speaker, my old boss, and asking his advice. I said, how am I going to do this? And he doesn't know Dan. He said, well, there are things people tend to make fun of people for at these things, right? You ever seen the Friars Club or something like that? He said, he's getting older now, he maybe got a little thick in the middle like you. I said, no, not really. Well, maybe he lost his hair. He said, no, he's a distinguished grade. I said, he's as handsome as they landed here. I said, well, his job was to do a lot of things. Maybe he was a little lazy. I said, you don't know Dan Ensrude? No, he's definitely not lazy. Well, something he's not really good at in fixing things. He can fix some things, but not others. No, not that I'm aware of. He does music. You said he got campfires. I bet he's tone deaf. I said, no one better with a John Denver song. I said, okay, well, so he sounds too good to be true. Maybe he's sort of a square, not very cool. Maybe that could be it. I said, Ron, in the 80s, I worked with some really cool people out here. And some of you know Tom Strauss, John Rasmussen, Dan Kittleson, Bill Horn. These were guys, they all had motorcycles. They all had, the rocker hair. They were sort of art school bad boys. If anyone would have made fun of Dan behind his back for being uncool, it would have been those guys. Those guys, I never heard them or anyone else say a word against Dan. I think they all wanted to be Dan.
Yeah.
So Ron said, well, what about his family? That's kind of dangerous, but maybe you should have one kind of crazy relative. I said, no, you've got 4 beautiful kids who were wonderful kids and are wonderful grown-ups with their own families now. I said, well, okay, how about his wife? Emergency. make fun of the wife, but go to his wife and ask for dirt on him. I said, well, now I'm sure Sue must have dirt on Dan. Right? But she's not going to tell me. She's going to say he leaves the socks lying around or something. I said, you know, Sue Ensrude is so nice that she makes Dan Ensrude look like Charlie Sheen. I said, that's not going to work. I said, I give up. I don't know. He's full of himself. I said, no. And I thought, no, you know, the opposite. The one thing about Dan I would say is he's really easily embarrassed. He blushes easily. He doesn't like to be the center of attention. Right? He cries easily. Ron looked at me and he said, so you're telling me after knowing this guy for almost 40 years, the best that you can do is to say that he's modest? Yeah? He said, you're doomed. So Dan, I can't roast you, but I can certainly toast you. And I think everyone will. First up on the program, we have Phil Zed with a musical number.
Get the video out. You don't have to get up, Dan. Well, seeing a congregation of Bethel people just brought a song. Oh, Danny boy, you've got a great camp manager. At Horizons nearly 40 years. We're gathered here because you'll be retiring. And we know that's time for shifting gears. No need for being ready to fix anything. No waiting for the phone at camp to ring. You'll have more time for little things that please you most, like just relaxing while you're eating Texas toast. We wish you well in forthcoming retirement, no matter how you choose to spend your time. We pray the Lord will day by day watch over you, as he has done for years here at Horizons 2.
So as I was listening to that song, it brought back some of the first memories of having Dan as my neighbor as I lived here in the Prairie Center. And I don't know if you remember this, but on the first weekend I was here, there was snow in January. This is rare now. We went out on a nice cross-country ski around to Stoughton or Rockledge, whichever you prefer, and back. And then he would teach me different things, and I didn't realize at the time what he was doing, but he was trying to teach me how to drive the bus, how to fix toilets, and it suddenly dawned on me years later what he was trying to do is that he was like, you really should get your CDL license, because he was not wanting to have to go to the beach as much. But there are many staff memories. I know we have tons, but today we have Lindsay here to share a few.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Killed it.
Hello. I think that was down.
There's one move.
Yeah, stay there. All right. Okay. It's an honor to recognize Dan's nearly 4 decades of service to Bethel Horizons. He means many things to many people. I was fortunate to work with Dan for one of those decades. As I reflect, there are 3 words that come to mind about Dan. Fun, partner, and servant. You'll see in the photos, Dan was always willing to wear the perfect ensemble for the occasion. From Christmas parties at the Hansons, to the perfect prairie burn get-up, to those gold shoes from Nair. He is also always game. A water slide at the regional conference, lacing up roller skates on pre-replacement knees, or driving the staff for a double feature at the outdoor drive-in and not getting home until 2 a.m. A few other Dan stories. When you call Dan, rarely does he say hello. Instead, you stuck? What's wrong? Well, maybe that was just me. Also, have you ever received a Love Dan note? You know you've done something wrong. Like the Sharpie written on the chest freezer, please don't sit here on the indent. Love Dan. Or don't overstuff the washer. Love Dan. And my favorite Dan story revolves around his hearing. I called him from the farmhouse deck at dinner one night during the summer, and a grandmother had come by to pick up her camper. She went in to use the restroom. I sat down to finish my dinner, and then I realized that I hadn't seen her in a while, so I got up just as my phone was ringing. Grandmother was calling me. She was stuck in the bathroom. So I called Dan. I said, Dan, there's a grandma stuck in the bathroom. And he said, there's a grandma duck in the bathtub? She got out. Dan is a committed partner. When this whole retirement discussion started, he made it clear he didn't need a party and saw Dwayne's retirement celebration as his as well. He did in fact receive a standing ovation with those nearly 700 folks. His partnership with Dwayne was a privilege to watch. They enjoyed their trips to Nair. There was always the goal of the great deal, but it was the car discussions, pie, and beer for each that cemented their partnership. Dan told me once when he arrived, he had no idea how to really fix anything. He was taught by volunteers and always appreciated how they worked with him for Bethel Horizons. Dan also has a strong partnership with the Dodgeville community, as well as hundreds of folks that come to retreat at Horizons. Last and certainly not least, Dan is a servant. From painting shovels gold to fixing the tire on the mower, to putting up teepees year after year, plowing, doing dishes, driving bus, or hosting at all hours, Dan is a model of what it means to serve. It's hard to find someone that values the equipment and buildings just as much as the people that use those buildings. Dan, you will be missed as a colleague, a friend, wise counselor, shoulder to lean on, visionary, and so much more. Thankfully, you're just down the road and will probably be out to help anyways. Well done, good and faithful servant. Well done.
Thank you, Lindsay. Next up, Harold Cushman, representing the self-declared old duffers. I'm not going to say anything about it. He can explain for himself.
Duffers.
Good night, Harold.
Yeah, I'm the guy that runs around on that tractor. And I'm the guy that usually shows up with a flat tire. And I'm the guy that Dan never.
Uh-oh, you touched it.
I blew it again, huh? Hello? Now she's putting it on my feet. Dan is the only guy that I know of that whenever I have a flat tire, I'll call him on the phone and I'm like, he never says hello. He just knows exactly who it is. He says, what's wrong now? I said, well, that tire you fixed, Dan, didn't go very far. I only made 3 or 4 rounds and it's flat. All right, I'll meet you at the shop. And he always was there, ready for me, smiling. Never said not to me anyway. That's probably why there's a lot of burn marks in the door. He was talking about that. But he was always friendly, always came around the corner smiling. The only time he didn't smile was when he found out that somebody had used up all the fuel and never told him or filled the cans. So when he come to fill the tractor, there wasn't any. So I'd have to go run the tractor and hope it didn't drown until he could get to the field. And he came out all the way to the field with me and poured the fuel in it. And what I will say about Dan is I don't recall of ever having to work with somebody as gentle and nice and friendly as Dan is. He's a wonderful man to work for, and I just hope he enjoys his retirement as much as I do, now that I've been forced into it. I'm sure Dan will be missed here, but his memories will always be around here, somewhere in the barn or they will be here, Dan, and I appreciate very much what you do to help me get through the days out here on the tractor. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Harold. And next up, we have Bob Hokenda, who is going to continue the old duffer memories of volunteering here.
Yes, so, y'all
Bring that. Let's forget that.
bring your, yeah, I just got a truck. Bring it, and you're never getting rid of anything. We know about that. Well, the old duffers have to take care of themselves a little bit. So I call you always a day or two ahead, so I'm coming out. Great. All right, what am I going to be doing? I have to know what I'm going to be doing because you have to get ready. So he would kind of tell me, and then I'd know when I arrived back if I needed to contact a personal trainer, or a chiropractor, or a physical therapist to get me back in shape to come back the next time. But the hardest one was if Dan would say, we're going to work in the maintenance building. I'm going, oh my gosh, not the maintenance building. There's a few things in the maintenance building. So it was, what do you do? So I called the psychiatrist. And I kind of tried to explain this person that has, I figured, either an attachment disorder or separation anxiety. And the shrink said, really? Oh, he gets so attached to people that, you know, they're just piling up the friends like we have. No. He does that. It's stuff. He's not sure how to get rid of stuff. And there's lots of stuff. And already in the last, whatever, we've recycled 10,000 pounds of metal alone.
I might need that later.
You might need that later. Exactly. So, it was always maintenance building. But he also provided joyrides for us. And it came in 2 seasons. One was the winter, and he says, a little snow and ice out there. Can you jump up on the back of the truck while I drive? and throw out the gravel and throw out the salt. And, you know, it's not flat territory to run around here. But anyway, or let's go along the road and trim some branches. I'll just keep moving slow. You just reach out and nip there. Oh, nip that one there. And nip that one over there. And it's a balancing act. But then comes spring, and we have to look around and make the campground safe. So one day we're out there. I don't know, just, so he says, it's that tree. I said, what do you mean it's that tree? That thing's 70 feet high. He says, well, that's why I brought an extension ladder, and you're going to climb it. I said, I think I could climb that, maybe, but hang on, because you got to tie the rope on up there. And then I'll tie it to the front bumper of the truck, and then we're going to back the truck up, you're going to back the truck up. Slowly, and I'll be on the other side of the tree, and I'm going to start cutting that tree, and I'm going to have branches for lunch. There's no way out of this one. But he always knew exactly how far, looking at something, it was going to fall. So things went on, and then it was the day we had to move the mobile home out, the one before the last one. And we weren't sure how that was going to go, because it'd been there a while, and the 400 mice were hanging on for dear life. Because they didn't want their home to be gone. They'd be homeless mice. You know, that's no fun. So anyway, then we went on. There were a bunch of us. We were working at the church picnic, and the chickens started to burn. All 150 halves or whatever it was, and it was time for water. There's no water down there in the chicken pit. So the old guys have to run to the farmhouse, fill the super soaker squirt gun, and run back to try to put out the fire at the nick of time. So that kind of happened. I have a quiz for you, and then I'm done. You gotta. You know what this tool is? Pull your teeth. Well, the patent is 1917, so it's been around here a while. But you never throw anything away. Now, what you use this for, okay, is it's to pull the cotter pins from the wheels of a Model T. And you never know when one of those shows up. So we had to keep it here. And we were trying to figure out what we could do. Well, we thought maybe you put up a lemonade stand on ZZ, you'd get more traffic, and maybe one would come by and we'd nail it. But it's still around. So that's that one. Then there's something else. You have to pass a test to get out of here. Yes, a test is important. These are combination locks. You are someone that remembers detail, your head's like a darn computer. So here's the deal. If you can open these locks, and there's 4 of them, then you've passed, and you can leave the grounds. And it takes a minute. This is in the maintenance building, this box. So I open it up, and you know what's in here? It's called the American Rifleman. And there's copies for everybody. So I think you were saving them so that we could do kind of a group reading. The date is July of 1948. Yeah. Okay. Are you done? I'm done. 3 minutes are up. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. See, I should have waited to do my roast till afterwards to get ideas. You know, of course, being a pack rat, yes, he was a pack rat. I have to say, he was in cahoots with another world-class pack rat in Pastor Wayne Hansen. You know, if Dan was everyone's big brother or cool uncle around here, you know, Dwayne was everyone's dad. He certainly was like a father figure to me, and the day wouldn't be complete without some memories through Dwayne. So I'd like to ask Ruth Vincent to come up.
Well, today is a day to celebrate and to say thank you. And since I'm speaking for Dwayne, I can assure you that he would enjoy doing both of these things. He would appreciate the party, and he would especially appreciate the man we're honoring. Dan and Dwayne were sort of a team. Dwayne had a dream, but Dan has been the one to build it, to fix it, to paint it, to mow it, and in fact to live it. In fact, Dan Ensrude is the answer to a lot of Dwayne's questions. Questions like, if you are stuck in a snowdrift or it's deep in a ditch, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If there's a work project to set up, shipping trails, painting walls, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If there's a mouse in the mouse trap and it's still wiggling about, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If the toilets are stopped up or the sink is leaking fast, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If junk is piling up and the health inspector is coming, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If the cook needs help and the dishes need to be done, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. If the pump in the campground breaks at midnight, who are you going to call? Dan Ensrude. Well, we could go on and on. Dan has made Bethel Horizons work. Indeed, we all recognize Dan's ability to take care of the place of Bethel Horizons. But he's also taken care of the people of Bethel Horizons. Dan has built a community. Look at all of you. You wouldn't be here if we were celebrating a grouch. Dan has welcomed hundreds, perhaps thousands, to Bethel Horizons, and he's been that friendly spirit that blesses this place. Friendly and fun. Let me tell you, Dan does love a good party, especially if it has a theme. Over the years, when the staff would come to our house for dinner, I would often have a menu that reflected the last trip that we took. And Dan always wanted to know the theme. He would arrive in some very interesting costumes. Over the years, he was a Frenchman with a beret and a mustache. He was a proper Englishman with a bowler hat. And one of my favorites was a Scotsman in a kilt. I think made out of a blanket. Even Sue was surprised at that one. One of the reasons that Dan worked so well with Dwayne is that they did speak the same language. I call it Norwegian frugality. Nothing highlighted it more than the aforementioned trips to NAIR. Now, for those of you who don't know, NAIR stands for the National Association for the Exchange of Industrial Resources. And if you're a member, you pay an annual fee, then you can choose from the catalog all sorts of things that were left over from manufacturers or stores or whatever. So they would get carpeting, computers, doors, light fixtures, and several other things that were potentially useful. What most of us do remember is that there were NAIR gifts. Little freebies that came from the grab bag. After you had the important stuff loaded in the van, then anything else you could get crammed into the van was free. So, We had Christmas ornaments, wrapping paper, notebooks, ribbon, flashlights, hats, art books, calendars, stickers, pens, music boxes, screwdrivers, and on and on. And things that all might be useful. And they were free. Of course, part of the trip, part of the allure of the trip to Galesburg, Illinois, to get to the Nair warehouse, was the ride to and from. Here was their next favorite thing. They liked to talk. They liked to plan. And it was a time to laugh. You know, it's a great thing to work with your best friend. Now, before I close, I want to say thank you to Sue. Sue Ensrude. Bethel Horizons has not only been Dan's place of work, it's been their home. Lots of her personal time and energy has poured into this place and into the people who make Bethel Horizons. So, here's a toast, as well as a little roast for Dan and Sue, the caretakers and caregivers of Bethel Horizons.
That is a hard act to follow. But I'm going to take just a moment because I think the relationship between Dan and Sue needs to be outlined a little bit further. Because I do remember a staff meeting where we would go around and share how things were in our lives, our personal lives. And I just remember this quote from Dan, and I'll let you decide if it's serious or not. We were going around and he just said, "Every day at our house is Valentine's Day." So I tried to use that with my beautiful wife Kelly, but it just doesn't. I know she doesn't believe it either. So now is the time that we are going to ask Dennis Vogel to come up, and we have a special gift from the board of Bethel Horizons.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Vogel. I'm on the board of directors of Horizons, and I've been asked to present this gift to Dan on behalf of the board. Dan, on behalf of the entire board, thank you so much for your service to Horizons. It's very rare for someone to have the opportunity to work where you live and live where you work, and you've done that for the last 28 years. It's even more rare, however, after all that time, to unfortunately evict you from your house. As some of you know, I'm an attorney and I do some legal work on occasion for the board, and I've learned recently of a small legal problem that you're probably going to have to seek advice from your own attorney. You learned, Dan, you filled out your paperwork to retire with the wrong date. Right? Yeah. 2026, that's another what? So this gift and this party might be premature. You get that corrected relatively soon. You clearly have served this community and touched the lives of campers and their families, staff over the years. certainly Bethel Church and Dodgeville Community College as well in many ways. And for that, the board of directors is extremely grateful to you and your family. We wish you the best of luck in your retirement in 2026. Come here and you can receive your card and gift, and you can open it if you like, or you can save it for later, but congratulations. You know, he says, I did put the wrong date down. He was right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I gotta come and get wood from her.
That might be what's in there, but we're going to need that for a little while longer. So it might come in handy later. Next up, we have the current Bethel Horizon staff that have a message that they would like to share with Dan.
Actually, we're singing. We want everybody singing.
We're going to be singing.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Okay, just singing, not Lindsay.
Oh, Dan. There goes Dan. He's already going to sing before.
So while they're getting ready, we're going to let them get ready. And just another story of Dan. So Dan had lots of volunteers that would help him. But there were times during which Dan did not have the luxury of calling a volunteer. And so he would call myself, and I believe Reed Engelke is in the room. And there was one particular night that I remember when we got the call that there is about 2 inches of standing water in the Barton Retreat Center. And I believe Reed got to go down with a mop and spend a couple hours soaking up water. Let's just say it's water, it's better, it's the family share. And Dan very calmly just came down and like this has happened before. And I'm just thinking, this is serious. But Dan didn't bother Dan at all, and we fixed it. And fortunately, we didn't have a group in there that night, but we were ready by the next day for when the group got there. So with that, I'll let them share their song.
So the song that we're going to sing, and we'd like you to sing along with us if you know it, is a favorite of Dan and Sue's, and by John Denver, called Perhaps Love. It gets really high in some spots, so forgive if the voices go, but it might happen. So we're going to give this a shot. You over there, Sue? All right, ready?
We've got song sheets. Everybody sing, though. You got to share the song sheet. Everybody got one? And let me hold it up. We have a picture of John Denver's husband. That would be Dan Denver.
Thank you very much. You know, as I reflect on all of these experiences, it's just, there is one time of year that Dan did become a little grouchy. And it always coincided when we would pull the teepee poles out of the barn. And we'd say, you know, we need the teepees up by, in the next 48 hours. And that would be the time that Dan would just tend to, you knew to treat him with a little more tender, loving care, because if you didn't, you might get some more of those love Dan notes. But I must say, it's very, very good to see you looking so good in May. Before our summer camp season. And now I'd like to invite Paul back up to do a blessing.
Had kind of a running joke with Dan for a couple of months now that he sent me his letter of retirement, and I have not accepted it. You all kind of blew that today. Now I feel like I have to. There's so many things I want to say and about this companion, about advisor, friend. But I'm just so terribly distracted by those shoes. You know, you're the only guy that can pull off a tuxedo jacket and gold shoes. I'm telling you. You know, when I see you in those things, I've seen you around camp with those many times, and you kind of have this royal sort of look with those on, and he needs a scepter. Phil, can you bring him a scepter, please? It's a little off balance still. An orb. We need an orb. Shelby, we got something we can use for an orb? Okay, it's not an orb, but it's a giant mouse trap. So you have to have that piece there too. You can hold in one hand and the other. It's a giant mouse trap. That's still not right. He needs accessories. Patrick, you got some accessories for him? Oh, here we go. A 2-belt and a helmet. That'll help. It's not a crown, but it's as close as we can find. That'll work. Not quite there yet. Ryan, you got something for us? Oh, a chainsaw. Yes, that'll help. You need a chainsaw. Sadly, our companion a lot these last couple of years with our chainsaws. Now, there's one person in the room who's going to be really upset about this next piece. Harold, I'm sorry, but the board got together and we decided that he's so attached to that blue tractor. We got to get him a blue tractor. I'm sorry. So Penny, she has the blue tractor for you, so you can take it with you wherever you go. You put it in the scepter. But it's not just the tractor, though. I mean, he's been mowing a lot. Eric, I think he's got a mower for us. It blows bubbles, too. You can't see the back. It blows bubbles. That'll help. That'll help. Dan has spent a lot of time cutting grasses over the years. I mean, you look at our prairies and everything else, and we thought about giving you some grasses for you and Sue to take with, but I think we got something better. Jen? You got something better? Oh, they're much better than grasses. If you haven't heard, Dan and Sue have a new home, too. And we sent our spies over there, and we knew you needed something for your home. And we were out looking around for, one of those cool home sweet home sort of signs. And everyone we found, none of them just looked right. So we found something that we think will look right. No. And finally, for our king and queen, we decided you needed thrones. Yes. Probably not the kind of thrones you're thinking with the things he's holding in his hand, but we did indeed have a static. We have to let Phil in. Close. For the porch of your new home. So actually, Your Majesty, if you would move to your throne. And Sue, come on up. Let's try to get them together here in the front.
Perfect. But mine says the box.
Well, mine has to be appropriate, to be honest.
And the new box.
Now, when I was called up, it was to do a blessing. And here, let me move you guys close together here. And so that's what we're going to do. And so I invite our staff to come on, gather around, and put a hand on a shoulder. We invite all of you to stand and kind of move forward as much as you can. Reach out, put an arm on the person in front of you. If some of you want to just kind of keep sneaking a little bit so we can make this unbroken chain of all of us. Because this blessing isn't from me, it's from all of us, and it's on behalf of God as well. Dan and Sue, we thank you for the time with us. What a run. What an incredible run of years. You didn't come here just to be a camp manager. You came here for ministry. An incredible ministry it has been. And so on this day of memories and of blessings, there's also something else we do today. And that is today we release you. We release you from your duties as camp manager with all the respect, with all the admiration, with all the love that we can possibly pass on to the two of you. May God bless you and keep you. God make his face shine on you and be gracious to you. God look upon you with favor, give you peace, and give you great health, and give you great times with your grandchildren. And know that we send you forth this day with all of our love. Let all God's people say amen. Amen. Thank you all. Now don't go anywhere. We do have somewhat of a theme song here at Bethel Horizons, and it's the best way to close out this program. You don't know all the words, but you do know the tune. And they'll come up on the screen, or if you've got them in front of you, we ask you all to join in with us.
All right. It's to the tune of Country Roads. So I'm sure you know this new song. I think you all back there by the table need to come in here and help us out. Come on. Hurry. Like speedy rabbits. Come on, hurry. We got some of our most recent counselors and staff here. Come on out. Hurry up. piano there. Help with the singing. All right? Here they all are. Say hi to them, everybody. Almost heaven at the horizons, nature's center, in the blue river. Older than the vine, younger than the campers, sharing our good times, country road. Take me home to the place I belong. Bethel horizon, baby village, take me home, country road. All the counselors round the campfire, telling stories, acting out and crazy. Painting on the wall, reading the seven papers, associated all country road. Take me home to the place I belong. Bethel horizons, keep me village, take me home, country road. I hear the birds in the morning when I wake up. On the hill or in the pines, the silence of the moon. And walking to the pump, I take a breath and take a look for this brand new day. And I say, country road, take me home to the place I belong. Bethel horizons, sleepy village, take me home, country road. Country road, take me home to the place I belong. Bethel horizons, sleepy village, take me home, country road.
All right, well, thank you very much. We have, it's important that I let you know this, that there are more desserts, but please save a few for me. Thanks again, Dan. If we could just give one more warm round of appreciation for Dan.
Last night I talked about doing a dance. Well, I've been dancing with Bethel Horizon for the last 38 years. I can't do this.
Well, on behalf of Dan, I'd like to maybe just introduce our family because they've all grown up here and they're all here. And we're almost all. So anyway, we will start here. Yesterday we had a wedding right here at Bethel Horizon. This is my daughter Beth. And Ian and Xavier and Naima. So let's have a hand for Lucy. And then you have Tyler. He grew up here for sure. Beautiful wife is Mihoko. And they have 3 lovely boys, Evan, Jed, and Harvey. Going that away, we have Corey and his beautiful wife, JC, from St. Louis. Little Aubrey and Ella and Asher. There's Asher, and Ella is here. And then we have our lovely daughter, Kay, from Seattle. And her husband, James, is at home working at a new restaurant, and she brought her beautiful daughters, Aaliyah and Olivia. And then I think we should introduce Helen, my wonderful mother-in-law of 42 years. This is Dan's mother, Helen. Ashley reminded me of a few other relatives he wanted me to introduce. So we have Dan's sister, Cindy, and her husband, Paul, from Great Falls, Montana, and Tyler. They came from Great Falls. We have Dan's sister, Becky, and her son, Jamin, who used to work here and put, I think, pot holders in the freezer for Betty or something like that. They're from Minnesota. His sister, Mary, was here for a little bit, and she had to leave. But we have Dan's older brother, Mike, and his wife, Bonnie. Remember that Mike was our interim executive director here for 6 months, and he also helped out at Bethel Lutheran. Their daughter, Karen Anderson, and her husband, Mike, and their 2 little boys, Austin and Braden. And my brother Dave, his wife Lynn. They have 4 children, Tegan, Tara, Trey, and Troy. Did I miss anybody? Okay, well, anyway, thank you for welcoming them here at Bethel Horizons. They're always enjoyed hay rides, bus rides, lots of things, campfires. We've done it all this weekend, including a wedding. So, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Eat cake, eat food. There's a lot of, I think it's eat a lot. Eat a lot, eat, drink, please stay and visit. Thank you again.